Hello, 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 everyone. Dr. Rowena Winkler here, and happy new moon in Cancer. If you're on the East Coast like me, the new moon peaked at around 2:30-ish p.m. EST. And wow, there's a lot happening astrologically in July. So first things first, before we dive into what we've got going on with this new moon in particular, a couple of reminders and things. All of these will, of course, be in the show notes. But if you'd like to know what the astrology is looking like for each month, I do have a free intuitive astrology insights newsletter that you can sign up. It's an e-newsletter that I send out around the start of each month, depending on, what's going on and how on top of things I am. But you'll get a sense of what that is looking like. In addition to that, if you're interested in having a more personalized, deeper dive in terms of your particular astrology, in terms of what these new moons and full moons mean to you, if you want more in-depth readings when it comes to your astrology chart, I invite you to hop onto my Inner Muse membership. It's astrology-based membership that I just revamped after celebrating the 1 year of the membership last month. If you hop onto the Inner Muse membership page, you can use the discount code IMMIN to get your first payment, whether that is a monthly or a yearly subscription, at 33% off. So that's all I'm going to say for now in terms of goodies that we got in store. So the new moon in Cancer, what does this mean? Well, we're in the thick of Cancer season. We're going to be moving into fiery Leo in just, a couple of days. But before that, a couple of things that are really important to keep in mind when it comes to Cancer. Cancer is this, watery sign that has a nurturance, a maternal energy, a divine feminine energy to it, a sensitivity to it. It's symbolized by the crab, so there is that hard exterior, but it's diving into, right, those vulnerabilities and what can we do to take care of ourselves and to nurture and reparent ourselves. And that comes with a lot of different practices, a lot of different things that can come to play here. And because it is a new moon is a wonderful way to spark new beginnings. It's a wonderful way to set intentions and to initiate and to to tap into what we want to start. It's a fresh start. It's a chance to engage in new modalities of self-care and self-healing. And so with that, if you want to explore what self-care means to you, and as Glennon Doyle says, we don't want this to be in a capitalistic way. We don't need to buy the things. We don't need to buy the wine. We don't need to buy the foods or whatever to make us feel better. There are ways that we can, tap into our own intuition and innately figure out what self-care means to us. I do have a free astrology self-care guide that is based on what your sun sign is or even your moon sign, because your moon sign is what's representative of what keeps you safe, what keeps you feeling stable and secure. So if you go to the link, and again, all this will be in the show notes, so don't feel like you have to memorize all these links that I'm scrolling here, but we have this Astro self-care guide so that if that's something you want to pursue, that is definitely available to you. In addition to that, as per the Inner Muse membership, I started a series of astrology conversations for each zodiac sign, starting with the beautiful, fiery Aries, kicking off the astrological calendar. And just a couple weeks ago, about 10 or so days ago, I had a beautiful conversation with my older sister Maria, and we talked about her being a Cancer and the differences of her like fluidity and my like need for structure because of all the earth in my chart, even though I am a Pisces and a fellow water sign. It was a beautiful conversation, and we did tie it to self-care and healing and inner child work. So we'll put that in the show notes. That's also on my YouTube. If you'd like to take a look at any of those conversations, they've been really awesome and fruitful. And we'll see what comes up for Leo season, because as I teased in that conversation, I have a little baby that's due. Well, maybe not a little baby, a baby that's due, that potentially may come Leo season. So we'll see what that brings forth for us. And then finally, when it comes to inner child healing, I have a free workshop that's coming up on Tuesday the 25th at 12 p.m. So if you are interested in engaging in more inner child healing, if you're looking to find a framework, if you're looking to find a ton of free resources, including meditations, a workbook, what else am I providing here? Spotify playlist. There's a lot of free goodies to help you engage in this work because again, Cancer season, and especially with this new moon, if you've been pondering, trying to engage in this, more inner child healing and deep work, this is one way that you can do that. So I invite you to join us on the 25th for that and to gain all the goodies. So when it comes to, again, that Cancer season and all about that healing, something that has been coming up for me personally that I'd love to share and invite you to join me in is this focusing on the heart and healing the heart and really tapping into our heart chakra, right? Like what what is our heart telling us? How can we engage with the heart space a little more? How can we invite the heart to lead us in terms of, next steps, in terms of what is next up for us? And what's also very interesting about this particular new moon is just like an hour or so ago at 4 p.m. we also had the lunar nodes, the north node and south node, change signs. So we were in Taurus and Scorpio, but they've since moved into Aries and Libra. So what does that mean, right? So with the North Node in Aries, we have, this fire, this initiation, right? We're being compelled to do things, which again is a great energy with this new moon. Like what are we going to invest in? What are we going to initiate? What are we going to lead, right? This like very fiery sign. Like what are we hungering for in terms of what needs to change? But also at the same time, taking that Libra energy as a south node, Libra is about that relationships and partnerships. So how can we release the people pleasery? How can we release the relationships that no longer serve us? How can we release the placating that we tend to do because we want to, be in service to others, but at what cost, right? Making sure we don't lose ourselves in that process. And so this change of the nodes invites us to really tap into what do I need? What do I want? What do I want to get? How can I care for myself? And also, what are the inspired action steps through that help of that Aries North node that are going to get me there, right? And what's helpful, and again, feel free to reach out if you want a more personalized, one-on-one session with me for me to look at this, particularly in your chart. Look at the themes. Look at where Aries and Libra fall in your natal chart to give you a sense of what are some of those themes based on the houses that Aries and Libra are in. So, for example, for me personally, Aries and Libra are in my fourth and 10th house. So, my fourth house of home and family, which is wild, given that I'm going to expand, I said like that, expand my home with a new baby and a new family member. And then my Libra is in that 10th house of career and profession. So I've already been feeling like there's going to be shifts and change, obviously, with the changing dynamic of my family, with me becoming a mother of a second child, right? How is that going to shift the way that I show up in my business? And what do I need to release in order to show up for this new iteration of my business, right? So these are the themes that we can look at in addition to this new moon in Cancer. I think it's beautiful that we have this lunar node shift. And of course, at the end of the week, we have Venus moving retrograde, which again is another invitation to reflect on our relationships. And, Venus also rules Taurus, which is, money and stability and finances. So a lot of things coming up just in this week alone. So it's buckle up. We're in for a wild ride. Finally, the last thing I think I'd like to say, unless anything else comes through before we do our card pull, is that in addition, with this new moon, let me get a drink of water real quick. With this new moon, the sun and the moon right now are opposite Pluto. So there's an opposition happening there. Now, Pluto is the planet of transformation. Pluto is the planet that symbolizes death, right? It rules Scorpio. So there's a depth to it and a death and a transformation to it. So it can be pretty intense, right? Because there's an opposition there. So it's not like hunky dory, yay, hooray. But what's really powerful, I recently uh, engaged in a class with my tarot teacher, Lindsay Mack. She talks about how 2023, because numerology wise, this is a 7 year, right? So if we add up all the numbers of the year, this is a 7 year. So we have, this is a chariot year, right? What does this mean? What does the chariot mean? The chariot means that there are things that we are being called to let go of, right? We need to take a moment to reflect on on again, what is serving us, what is not serving us, are there things that we're staying in, like are there things that we are continuing to be involved in or be a part of or continue to keep in our lives, whether that's relationships or situations or jobs or what have you, whatever it is, XYZ thing here, practices, habits, because just cuz, a chariot moment, and in addition the tower too, because if we don't take that time to reflect in this chariot moment, the tower will come up, and the tower card represents in the tarot, like, you know Mama Uni's gonna, like, well, you're not paying attention, so I'm gonna make it happen. So things are going to be shifting, right? And I invite you with this Pluto opposition. Things are going to get intense, and it can get intense at times. But just know that oftentimes this intensity and these moments and these oftentimes cataclysmic, it feels like, shifts are there to serve us, and that they're meant to happen. So take the time to reflect, especially in this new moon, like what needs to change, what needs to shift. um if you missed it earlier this week in promotion preparation for the inner child healing workshop, I did some live readings, and we pulled from my latest and greatest new deck, Sacred Destiny Oracle by Denise Linn. And the first card we pulled, which I also feel is very representative of the new moon in Cancer, is new beginnings, right? New beginnings. So let's see what we have here for our second ever card pull from this gorgeous deck that I felt very drawn to. And we'll see what message we have here before we wrap things up and go forth and celebrate this beautiful new moon and how we can take care of each other. Opportunity. That homie just flipped up. That was cute. All right. Oops. Alrighty, Rue. Let's see what this has to say. do, 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 do. 57. 57. An occasional owl hoot and the song of a solo coyote punctuate the stillness in the forest as a traveler walks through the pines. Light from a waning moon filters down through the canopy of needles and cascades across the forest floor. Sometimes the trees obscure the moon, but sometimes its illumination clearly shows the path ahead. Pines are one of the most ancient plant genera on the planet. They've existed nearly 3 times longer than all flowering plant species. Because most pines stay green all winter, they traditionally represent longevity, immortality, fertility, health, and abundance. The moon and her gossamer glow represents the feminine and receptive side of life. Just as the moon receives and reflects the light of the sun, symbolically the moon represents receiving the goodness of the universe flowing to you. So this sacred landscape wants you to know, and I'll hold it up as I read it, so you got it there to reflect on. Yep. Gifts from the universe are ready to cascade into your life. Abundance, health, longevity, vitality, and joy are flowing to you, gently and easily in the days ahead. There may be times when the goodness of life feels like it's ebbing and flowing, rather than being a steady stream of fulfillment. This is similar to the moon peeking through the pine trees for a moment or two. But as you stay open and receptive, physical and emotional gifts will come into your life. Instead of bemoaning the fact that there isn't a steady and constant stream of joy and gifts from the universe, accept whatever you receive in a spirit of gratitude, and your bounty will increase tenfold. This is universal law. I mean, the fact that it's moon, obviously, right? Like that receptivity, as I mentioned, that divine feminine maternal energy of Cancer, in and of itself. And then I love that it's like, yeah, it's not going to be constant, right? Because of that Pluto opposition and because of, this push and pull, this tension with the North and South node changing into Aries and Libra, there may be a bit of start stop, or there may be a bit of like, but just remember that like staying true, right? Keeping our hearts open and tapping into gratitude and tapping into what makes sense for us in terms of self-care and self-nurturance and how we can take care of ourselves in a truly aligned way and not what other people are telling us is going to be very, very powerful. So with that said, we're going to keep this short and sweet. Once again, if there's anything that I can do to serve you in terms of a more personalized reading, once again, we have the Intermuse membership. So if you want to, for an affordable price, getting all the goodies every month, you can hop on there. And then if you are looking to engage in more aligned self-care practices based on your astrology sign, we got the astrology self-care guide that is free for you to download and peruse. And then of course, if you are available, and if not, you'll get the replay, of course. If you're interested in hopping into the inner child healing workshop on the 25th at 12 noon, that's when the video will go live on YouTube. This is a workshop that I had developed in 2021, I believe. But I have since updated it with more resources for you as we engage in this deep inner child work that is very like juicy for Cancer season. So, as we wrap things up and move into Leo season, I hope that you enjoy the new moon, have lots of abundant blessings in the new moon, set those intentions, and let me know once again if there's anything I can do to help and support you. But until then, take care and see you soon. Bye now.